Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Covenant Cast. I'm Zach.
And I'm Steven.
I'm Jonathan.
And today we'll be giving some Christmas advice. All right, we're gonna switch it up here. So we normally start the episode with a little bit of what's been going on in our lives this week, and to add to that, we're actually going to, from time to time, pick answers. We always ask a question at the end of the show, pick answers that we liked, and also mention anything that's been going on in our own lives that is worth mentioning.
Sounds fun.
These answers don't get read enough. So
these are really good ones over time. Like the interaction we get from everyone watching and listening has been super awesome. So we want to talk about that, and that can open some discussions and maybe even relate to the things we might want to talk about. So to just kick this off and be the first person to ever do this, we're going to pass over to my left, which is Steven.
All right. Well, let's start with a comment. The last question was, what kind of music do you listen to when you play games? Computer controlled, longtime listener, see his or her comments pop up. Our game group all make electronic music, but rarely listen to anything while playing. If we ever do, it's normally ambient electronic music from late 90s. As such, classics happily sit in the background. It seems familiarity and non-lyrical works, although prefer no music, which is interesting given how important it is in my life. Now that's interesting. That's interesting. I like mood setting of ambient music. Like, what is that, music, Brian Eno, like music for airports, like that kind of stuff. I could see being spot on.
I would actually really enjoy some to actually know some of the artists that computer controlled.
Yeah, no
uses,
joke, right?
Because I love was it late '90s ambient music? I'm pretty into that. Not enough to obviously know anybody.
Yeah, you're like, I'm pretty sure I would love it.
But I would really like it.
It's from the old London Records sampler, right? Where it was, we were listening to Orbital and Tricky and Crescendo. Remember that old Crescendo track?
Portishead, DJ Shadow.
So it was that weird blending of like electronic and trip hop
and
stuff.
then there's all the John Digweed, Sasha, back in the
07
trance days.
What's your take on no music while playing?
I get that. I get that. I guess.
I mean, especially if they're making music, it kind of might be a little bit of a job thing.
Maybe
that's
so.
That's fair.
I would prefer some nice ambient sounds in the background, I think.
I feel like it also depends on the quantity of people playing.
Yeah.
So when I'm playing, just like, sometimes it'll happen, I'll be playing against like Matt, one-on-one, just us around, and like there's a lot of thinking going on, and so kind of to fill the unnatural void of quiet.
Yeah.
But now you are, to derail this for a little bit, you are someone who loves always having music in the background.
Pretty much.
That's part of your DNA that got built into you at some point in your life.
I don't know why, I just like having music.
It just distracts us from the existential dread. I really do think that's consistently the thing.
I mean, I feel, so the whole test, and we're getting really weird places here, but the whole test where it's like, how do you feel when you're thinking about the ocean kind of thing? And some people are like scared.
Yeah.
And then the other people are
liberated.
Yeah. I think at peace, right? It's like a calming thing. So for me, it was always tranquility, and like the great unknown is like not scary. So I don't know if I have the like existential dread happening. Maybe I do, and I just don't know it.
I don't know. That's the good thing about dread. Sometimes it's buried deep inside of you.
It's an Arkham Horror question.
And also, I gotta say, I'm watching Netrunner games again.
Back on it.
That's what I was gonna say. Anything else in your week is worth it.
Yeah, it's kind of it's one of those things where I put it in the veins. I have a very interesting relationship with Facebook. I ultimately think it's bad, but that doesn't stop me from visiting every once in a while. And so
it's a known vice.
I was scrolling through the feed. You get done and you're like, the problem with what Facebook does so well is it gives you enough value rarely that you keep searching for it.
It's just enough. And I think Zach's...
Speaking of avoiding the dread, by the way.
But that's it.
People lock into Facebook.
That's right. It's like, it takes me 15 minutes to find anything worthwhile, and I find the one thing, and then I'm like, there might be more of that here, and then it's 15 more minutes. Pretty soon it's an hour. I found very little of value, and I've wasted an hour of my life, right? And everybody knows that this is happening, and yet continue to go back.
I mean, you're just looking for the short-term dopamine hits.
Yeah, they're very good at getting that dopamine hit going.
Yeah.
That's the trick.
Because like when you find something, there's chemicals that fire in your brain. And Facebook is just constantly finding even irrelevant things. But for the first time, we have that in our pocket.
Well,
people used to have to like go on a ship to the new world to
or
find
talk to
new
people,
stuff. Yeah.
Or like go outside.
Speaking of dopamine, so I was watching a game. This is one of the All Stars.
Speaking of chemicals.
And so I was on Facebook. I saw it in the group. I think Dodgebong posted it. Ben Terrell posted it. And so I went to his. It was a version of a game that he had live streamed. Looked phenomenal.
Yeah,
He does
he's
a
very good at what he does.
ridiculously good job. So I was watching Timothy Wong and Greg Feeney, I think was the game. I was watching like Scorpios versus a Haley deck. And I'm kind of in that process of the game where I'm getting my feet wet again and like learning how people are playing and what cards are prevalent and what ice is being used and what breakers people are going towards. And it was excellent. I watched an hour of it, just right through.
You really found
just
something. Was this Facebook?
Top to bottom. It was on Facebook, but I went off site to Twitch. I think
But there was some sort of value happening there.
There was value,
Facebook.
but it got me right, and then I was like,
You were riveted.
well, yeah. I mean, it's just it's that re-excitement. It's a spark, an ignition that happens, and you're like, for me, I know enough to jump right in, right back in, and not feel like I have been left out. There's just slightly different cards being flipped up, from time to time. But the fundamentals are basically the same.
Yeah.
And
Again, finally,
and that
thankfully.
is the most important thing, right? It was constant running, a lot of bluffing going on. Timmy had he had an Oaktown renovation, that thing that you advance and it gives you credits the more you advance it. He had like 9 or 10 advancements on it in a remote server. The first one, he had like 6 on, and Greg stim hacks in and gets it. The second one, he has 9 advancement counters on it. Scorpios eventually locks him out. Code gate gone. Boom. Can't do anything. With a baddie, Marcus baddie play where you flip up, and if you win the side game, you get to trigger a subroutine. So he baddies, triggers a trash program subroutine, which then means that what he was going to use to break the current trash program subroutine is no longer there, which means that second trash program now hits.
Oh,
and that was like turn 3 of the game. And so it was just like, oh my gosh, this is crazy.
That's awesome.
So I'm back. Once you start watching people playing games on like, YouTube and stuff,
Return to a certain point.
you definitely are committed again. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I also watched a lot of this Beans, Greens, Potatoes, Tomatoes song, which I don't want to go into, but I definitely, it's something that came into Robert and I's lives this past weekend. There was a little LAN party that we had at his house where we played old Warcraft 3 games, so it's not terribly exciting. But we stumbled upon this Beans, Greens, Potatoes, Tomatoes song. And if you guys haven't heard it, the remix, of course, I think it's only a remix that you would find.
It's bizarre.
It's about 60 seconds, and it'll get right in your head, and it's just very pleasing. And then I saw the lady the preacher who had been, memed out of it or whatever. Very, very nice woman. She was happy to be spreading joy to people. And
a lot of positive
shape it
vibes.
took, so.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what about you, John? You got what's the comment?
Well, so the comment. This is Peter Crichton's comment. I was scrolling through and I stopped on his and it said not specifically while playing games, but I can always listen to Snarky Puppy.
I saw you listening to Snarky Puppy.
Yeah, it sparked. I was like, I think I know that. So I looked it up. Anyhow, he says those guys make everything right in music. I urge you to listen to some of their music on YouTube if you don't know them already. Mostly instrumental, but here they are with singer. Oh gosh.
Amazing.
Lala Hathaway or Leia?
Lala Hathaway.
And I did. I clicked the link, and it was absolutely
anything,
fantastic.
You gotta be careful.
I will tell you, it was really good. It's basically kind of like a laid back jazz with really good vocals.
Literally, Ben is looking it up right now.
Yeah, it's so good.
Like
it's,
a lounge style thing, like old school lounge, like sitting in a speakeasy piano kind of stuff.
No, a little bit. Oh gosh, a little bit more upbeat.
Moonraker?
Yeah, Moonraker-ish. Yeah, Moonraker's actually a really good analogy. Okay. And then he says, of course, when playing Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones, usually listen to the respective movie soundtracks, which is something that we've done before,
Nailed
and it's very good.
I've definitely
also
done
with
that.
Star Wars.
Done it in the store often. Actually.
I do that often, actually.
Yeah, it's good. It gets the whole experience. It feels like you're there. Also, last Wednesday was my last day at my old duplex. I'm now officially moved into my new house. I'm only involved in one house. It's fantastic. I absolutely love it out there. It is just gorgeous and really everything that I could ever have wanted. So very happy with that. Now I'm learning how to plumb because currently my water is not potable.
You said to plumb.
I need to.
Definitive.
Yeah, I need to put some filters in. So that's what's happening in the next 2 days.
Well, that's awesome. Dude.
Yeah, you got that
works.
big upside down jug, right?
I got the upside down jug. It's in like a little pot, and it's really cool. It's a nice. I mean, it all works out. We're in there, and that's great. But yeah,
Robert and I went out there last week. My gosh. It's like nothing else, man.
I heard it was great.
So amazing.
Yeah. 120 acres to explore, and there's plenty too.
Wandering
and
around.
the star, like it's away from the city lights in both directions. The stars are absolutely amazing, which is something that is also very important to me. So it was really great. And on top of that, we have our dining table now is functional, and whenever Steve and Robert came over, we sat around and played some love letters. So
we sure did.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, the feeling of being out in that open space and then we saw the giant kind of light, like almost like a giant massive spotlight shooting up from Tulsa, and then we could all see it all the way west to Oklahoma City, and it was like, this is amazing. The world is an amazing place. It's quite a feeling.
It's nice to be able to
open
open
a lot of space.
I've often said, at least to people who are willing to listen, that I am kind of feel like a goldfish, right? You grow to the size of your tank,
yeah.
And living in that duplex was just too small of a tank. So
yeah,
got myself a big tank, and it feels. The only downside is
that analogy is apt.
Yeah, the only downside is that we really used all of our energy and stress and cortisol to get through the move. And now, I don't know if this happens to anybody out there, this happens to me all the time, is post all of that, both my wife and I are getting sick. This happened to me after finals week in college. Anytime I really put the gas on after it's done, my body's like, okay, hey, we were holding all this stuff off, but we can't anymore, so now you gotta deal with all the stuff you weren't dealing with.
I wonder if that's
There's a.
I would be interested if people.
There's an actual. There's.
Keep talking about all these.
I know
chemicals.
there's a chemical. I know.
I'm just a philosopher, man. Can't we just?
There's chemicals that apparently
through it
kick
with our
in
minds?
when you're in that survival mode. Mm-hmm. Where it's
I think it's cortisol.
I think it is. It may be cortisol. But effectively, it turns off your immune system because that's not important right now. What is important right now is surviving. So that's why being too stressed for too long is actually a real problem.
Yeah.
Because it significantly reduces your immune system. If you get sick, now it's more stress and all this. So that's actually a real.
Yeah. Well, that's where I'm
It's
at.
a real problem with our society too. I mean, there's so many studies coming out that people are so
the amount of stress is crazy.
Even I feel it. I don't know. You get this weird sense of, I don't feel stressed, but is that just because I'm good at covering it up?
Right. Is it because you're not acknowledging it?
Is it that I'm not letting it out of a box? Have I pushed it down? Am I do I have psychological blocks? It's nothing's for certain anymore.
And I think part of that is I know for me, several months back, I basically took I just deleted Facebook off my phone. I still have a Facebook technically.
Yeah.
And I check
good
it
for
occasionally.
pictures.
But that idea, the thing about Facebook, and it is very chemical inducing, is that feeling of always maybe missing something. Or it's like having emails in your inbox that are unread, or some kind of notification. It's you get something from it, but you also become dependent on this what if scenario. And it's a cloud that once I removed it, it was my mental energy is way different now than before. So that's a whole different episode. Right. My comment from Joe Montour on, looks like YouTube, says he's a big heavy metal guy. So when I play multiplayer games, I like to rock out to some hardcore stuff. The music kind of pumps me up and I get amped to keep playing. While I'm playing casually, I like to listen to the environment, ASMR type deals. Hearing raindrops or birds or any other type of nature sound tickles my fancy.
Isn't that cool?
So I was going to say, can you imagine? It's I don't ever listen to hardcore music when I'm playing games. Really, ever. But picturing you're playing Destiny, it's get going crazy.
I mean, it could be a lot of fun. I know actually a lot, of the FFG guys, I've asked them about their musical preferences, and there's a lot of hardcore metal fans.
That explains everything.
Yeah.
Secret
Nate,
metal
unsurprisingly, I think is one of them.
Nate French.
But yeah, and then the nature sounds. There's actually a soundboard that I found a long time ago. I think it was through the subreddit for role playing, and it's got raindrops and it's got all sorts of stuff for whatever, if you're in a dungeon, it's got dungeon ambience, which is really, really cool to me. So that's really cool.
I'm into the ambient thing. I think the relaxing nature sounds are cool. I know you had the cow cam on for a long time.
Yeah,
the,
big
pasture
fan of the
sounds and
cow
stuff.
pasture or cow pond live stream on YouTube.
So yeah, my past week outside of listening to music, which I did a fair amount of, but I played some Destiny, getting back to it. Kind of feel like I'm getting back on the train. No hardcore music though, and I'm pretty excited. I think the game's in a cool place. Excited for Legacies, and I'm excited to say that I feel like I have a mediocre Ahsoka deck. So
I gotta tell you, man, with Destiny, maybe this is a backfire for FFG ultimately. It's not, but I have
calling them out.
I have almost no interest in Constructed after limited formats were announced. I just want to play sealed.
I just want to play. I was
just give me the
talking to
packs,
Zach about that today.
give me the starters, and I want to build a deck.
I will say I have a lot less interest in Constructed. I think it is what it is. Like, Constructed is not necessarily the thing you need to be doing all the time. I think that takes a lot of energy, and it can drain you, and it takes you away from, like, Constructed can be, it's way harder for Constructed to always be what you want it to be versus sealed.
To be fresh,
Just
right?
being the fresh, fundamental. You're using different characters every time. No one is running super crazy combo stuff, so you're getting to play the game. Sealed's great, and there will be more to come on that topic.
I definitely think if it were me, I would do like 80% limited play and then 20% constructed, because it naturally follows after a lot of limited play that you have the resources to build a constructed deck.
Yeah, and even the things you get in limited kind of open up your deck building options to kind of explore new territory. But
absolutely,
you know, that's there you have it. So we're gonna dive in to the old Christmas
Merry
advice.
Christmas! Yeah, let's get some holiday holiday suggestions.
This episode is gonna go up around Thanksgiving week, Thanksgiving weekend, going into Cyber Monday, Black Friday, going into December, going into gift giving season. Wanted to, give some practical advice here on the gift giving. So I'll be curious, kick it off here. What games are you most likely to not necessarily give, but take with you to
Why give when you can take?
Holiday gathering, whether it's Friendsgiving, or family Thanksgiving, or Christmas,
or a day off work,
or a day off work, or
maybe
a weekend.
You get to go to the store or a store.
You're
Skype with some friends.
You're grabbing your stuff. You're heading to wherever you're heading. What are you taking with you?
I know what I'm taking with me. I'm taking Love Letter, because
you're big on Love Letter.
Well, my in-laws will request
incredible.
it. I introduced it to them 2 years ago now, and I think every time or every other time that we're all there together, it's requested.
Didn't you give them Love Letter at some point?
I gave. They have 2 copies of Love Letter. They've loaned out one, and I'm going to be getting them now a third.
Let's be clear. None of this theme crazy shtick kind of, this theme Love Letter, that theme Love Letter. Now we're introducing the zero. None of that.
No, just
standard
Love Letter. Standard Love Letter.
Old school,
no
perfect
gimmicky
Love Letter.
Yeah. And that's it. Yeah, I have some things to say about that.
I will say, you can say what you want. I don't care about the theme. Objectively speaking, in terms of rating the game,
oh God, don't do this.
Batman Love Letter is a better game.
Don't do this, though.
It's a better game.
Why?
It's slightly better.
Why do you
It's
have
so
to
not.
do these things?
It's so not.
I'm just
No,
saying.
It's not.
I don't even care what the theme is. It could be blank. But go ahead.
Well,
I like Love Letter.
I
actually.
honestly have not ever played Batman, so I just hate it out of necessity.
You have played Love Letter.
I have played Cup Letter, which is one that has all of our faces on it that our camera guy Ben and our video editor Ben made for us way back in the day.
Camera
when he
guy.
started. He's so much.
He's been on the podcast now.
That's right. People know his face. Yeah,
If they've been watching, they know his
rewind
voice if they've been listening.
But yeah, I got to tell you, Love Letter, I'm thinking about potentially getting the Love Box for Love Letter because I know that...
They have a Love Box.
Yeah, they get a Love Box.
That's incredible.
That's a different episode.
Well, they have an expansion that
podcast.
moves it from 4 players to 8 players.
What?
Yes, and I know that we've tried to squeeze 5 players in because that's basically all of the family, the kids and the mom and all of us.
5th player's got to be the referee.
No, we just
They've got to
gave them
call
a
that
card.
Bush League stuff. It's like, that's a Countess bluff. I'm certain of it. It's not allowed at this table.
Get it out of here.
It would be cool to have a role where it's like you can alter the rules in between turns. Anyways, that's a different.
Afraid you not alter them
So you can
further.
literally have 8 people on a game of Love Letter?
That's what Love Box
Is
does.
Is that too much? I like that it's intimate. I like that the 4-player, you get
I
to
like the
know each
4-player
other.
as well.
You know each other's play styles. One bluff 6 rounds ago even comes back to
But
haunt you.
we don't want to keep anybody out, and there's a lot of people that want to play, and we're trying to encourage as many people as we can to play. So Love Letter, potentially Love Box Letter, will be brought. 100%.
Love Box.
Actually, it doesn't even need to be brought. They have it there. So
Interesting.
Easy. Yeah, Love Letter. You can't go wrong.
All right,
with it.
so Love Letter is your
Yeah,
go-to.
we may have some more questions on this, and my answer is always going to be Love Letter.
All right. You got any? What's your go-to?
Well, I'll start out by getting a shout out from afar from Robert, because I know that his answer is Splendor to every question.
He loves
possible.
Splendor.
He loves. I've never seen. Robert has not fallen in love with the game like he's fallen in love with Splendor ever since I've known him.
Well, it reminds me of he had a Puerto Rico phase too.
L5R, or not L5R, Lord of the Rings was also, he was
Lord of the
involved
Rings
for
is
a while.
very much into Conquest. He and I played a lot of Conquest in the early days together. But Splendor
He'll
has
play
been
any, all you have to
Splendor's
do
a
is say Splendor, he's in.
long-standing now, like he's in. And I heard a bunch of people talking about how Splendor is common at lunch breaks at their work. Just random workplaces, not even anywhere even closely related to a tabletop themed thing. But it's like a cable company in your lunch break. There's people playing Splendor.
Nice.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
But I myself would not be taking Splendor. I would be taking actually Tokaido.
Oh.
Talking about this game a lot. The thing that I love about it is that when you're in a holiday situation, I don't want to do anything that's going to promote angst or disagreement.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Or even really a sense of competing at all.
Yeah, you want it to be a very nice, because there are some people that you will find out when playing games with them are way more competitive than they will ever let on, and that's can be a travesty if it gets.
Tokaido is unlikely to evoke those emotions.
So I'm looking to basically what I can do is I can say, hey, are you guys interested in playing a board game? It's super easy. The rules aren't crazy, and it's not even very competitive. It's just kind of a fun experience. You want to do that, and it's like, sure. And then it's like, all right, your objective is to have the best vacation possible. Like the moment that you pitch the game like that, like everybody is immediately in. I think I don't know who's like, that's offensive.
When I'm teaching that game, I love opening with that line.
Yeah, the
it's like the goal here is who enjoys it the most.
There's going to be very few decision points in the game. Ultimately, sometimes you might have to choose between taking a picture of some mountains or going to the spa. But you're trying to collect the most victory points. I mean, that's pretty much it. So that's what I would take, Tokaido.
Cool. Well, for me, I would say almost all the time, not even necessarily holidays, I'm taking Destiny with me.
Yeah.
Okay. It's usually arm's reach.
But you also have 3 brothers?
I do, and nephews.
And so that's, one of them, obviously Tim, he's going to,
one of them
playing Destiny the whole time. You've been doing that since you were a tiny kid.
That's right. So I want to caveat that's usually like I think it's actually right here.
It's always within arm's reach.
Literally within arm's reach. I told you. But I like to actually pack, and Destiny's not my actual answer, but I like to pack decks that are like in case I want to play against Tim, but also like fun and interesting things that I can put against each other just in case. But the game I am most prone to take is Viva Java.
Really?
Yep.
Now that's a great game, but it's a little complex.
Well, as you might imagine, my family is very accustomed to the whole board game.
Yes.
You've been working on them for a while.
I had
a lot of time.
I've been playing like poker and pitch and those kind of classic games with my family forever. And it's like, hey, here's Coop, here's code names, here's Splendor, and you're working your way up. And then it's like Tokaido even was there for a while. But then one Christmas, I remember after I had gotten Viva Java, we played it, and then that's the one that gets asked for the most.
Really? Well, that's beautiful. I would have thought that might have been a little bit of a... But it makes sense. It's novel enough in its approach that you don't feel like you're playing a board game. You're passing the background, you're getting the coffee beans, there's an element of luck, and honestly, a great family game is one where the whole table can erupt at an outcome.
Yes.
And
like when someone pulls the bean out of the bag, it's the right color.
That's never happening in Tokaido, so that's a failure on that end.
But there's no conflict in Tokaido.
But there's no conflict. So
I've made some decisions in Viva Java that have upset some people. Yeah. I will just plainly say that.
That's one of the good things about Splendor is that it is kind of like, I won't call it Viva Java Lite. There's a lot of differences, but it's the same sort of an idea. But because you can't screw over people as bad in Splendor as you can in Viva Java.
And the thing about Viva Java that's cool is that it's harder to do that.
Yeah.
Like it's wide enough that like you can do some things, but what really happens is when a couple people decide to do some things to like prevent Steven from getting what he wants. That's when the trouble can brew. So speaking of those kind of games, are there any old games? Because like I know for me, I started playing literally poker / Hold'em and Pitch.
I love poker so much.
Pitch, which is an old card game forever. Since I was like 5.
I was playing Pitch in like middle school with middle schoolers. Like, we're all, Chelsea, you have a lot of the kind of country folks, and Pitch is like a big, like that's...
There's an underground Pitch network.
Our folks, our mom and dad used to go to Pitch nights
They still do.
at Friends.
Yeah.
That's so fun.
Still get out there and play some Pitch.
It's an excuse to drink beer, I think, and eat good
I wasn't doing that.
And more specifically, to eat food that you shouldn't be eating.
Yeah,
right.
It's like a Super Bowl party.
It's like, well, it's pitch night.
Exactly what it is. It's pitch night. So like, bring on the cheese. Bring on the processed cheese, please.
I've been playing pitch for as long as I can remember, and there's actually a lot of board games I've been playing. But I'd be curious, like, what are the like nostalgic games that either get busted out or that should get busted out that really haven't been in a minute?
I'll tell you one.
Yeah, you go for it.
You guys are from the same family, so it's kind of an overlapping answer, maybe.
I absolutely love. I have super fond memories of the game of life. You spin the thing. There's the randomness involved. I just remember being so consistently enthralled by the outcomes of those games, where it's like you became a doctor, like yay.
Well, it's like the one place you can have
became,
children and it's not
homeless. Like they had. It was very fascinating how your entire life, like this character's life, played out as you went around the board, and things happened, and you got setbacks, and you got successes, and it always just seemed super fun. So I would love to play that again, actually. I would love to play that again.
And we should.
We really should.
In retrospect, though, it's somewhat funny that, like in Takedo, you're judging who's enjoying the vacation the most, which is amusing.
Right.
But then it's like, who lived life the best?
Yeah. Right.
Whoa.
And there's
These are deep questions.
And there's some very weird ways of judging that, right? Where it's like, your career is, therefore you succeed. And it's like, well, we learned that was not true.
Yeah. But like you have the little car and you're putting little pieces in.
That's nice. You spin the thing. I think
mechanic.
I remember there being like, there's sometimes you can just get screwed on that.
Yeah.
But speaking of getting just screwed,
well, then what's the game of life?
That's
right?
true. I guess that's a good. Really
if the
good
risk
point.
of getting screwed isn't there, then we're not playing the same game.
That's a really good. That's a very good existential point you guys made there.
We're going deep.
Speaking of getting screwed, sorry, actually, or the just wooden and marble version of it, which our friend Jared made, which I can't remember the name of it.
Oh my gosh, I love that
I texted him before the show, but he hasn't gotten back to me. But it's just sorry. You roll some dice.
What did he
You
call
do
that?
exactly what the dice say. As far as I can tell, there's really no strategy, but it's fun, right? And
You have to
it'll
determine when to
make
jump to the middle or not in
That's
Jared's
true.
version.
That's
at least.
true.
And like you have multiple. There's choices to be made.
There are choices to be made.
There's some strategy.
And there's
it's not shoots and
just
ladders.
enough to where you can sit there with your family, and the table erupts on this one. So this is a low, low decision
it's like
point.
if you need a 6 to hit
yeah,
someone.
dice
like,
rolling, and it happens, and everyone gets excited. Like that's a really easy, and it's also a really easy entry into the excitement of board games and the sort of community that board games bring. So I would take sorry, or its sort of wooden cousin, whatever that's called.
Yeah, whatever that's called.
So here's my question: did you ever play Shoots and Ladders as a kid?
Oh yeah, I did. I loved it. I don't think we played it as a family. I played it at like a daycare or a preschool kind of situation.
So I have a lot of nieces and nephews, and they, when they turn 5, 6, 7, 4, 3, 2, they start wanting to play Uno and these board games, and then
Hero playing Uno would be very impressive.
It's known that I'm into games, so naturally it's like this is the uncle that they go to like interact in that way. I played Shoots and Ladders, and my goodness, that game is awful. It's like sorry, but less strategic decisions. So do not bust out Shoots and Ladders.
No Shoots and Ladders.
The thing that there's 2 games that I played as a kid that I loved, and then have recently replayed that had tremendous more thought and strategy than I could ever possibly imagine. The first one is Guess Who.
Oh, wow.
Which is wild, because it should be a really easy game, but then you start learning, now that you're an adult, how to ask better questions other than like, is it a boy or a girl?
So in Guess Who, there's just, your opponent has a bunch of faces,
you have
right?
a board, there's 30 faces on it, I think,
Okay.
or 40 or some number, and then you can ask a yes or no question, basically, where it's like, does your person have a hat on? And your opponent has to say yes or no.
And one of them is the person that you're trying to guess?
Yeah.
Of the 30?
And so
They have like a little person in front, and that's who you're
you get a
trying
little
to
random
guess.
card,
And you have
and
all
then
the
it's
other
like,
choices.
okay, they don't have a hat on, so I can knock all the ones down that have a hat.
Right.
Which is fun.
And you're trying to eliminate, right? But you realize that you can ask questions like, does your person's name start with a vowel? Or there's some crazy questions, like, does your person have anything on their face that does not naturally grow? It's like, that's hats, glasses, scar, like, you go down this big list, or makeup as another thing. So like, but you ask these questions, and the first time I asked, does it start with a vowel, realizing there's only like 7 or 8 that start with a vowel, and they say yes. It's like, I just knocked down 23 of my things.
That's crazy.
Instead of the normal like...
What's the replay value on that, though? It's got to be abysmal, right?
It's high. Because here's the thing,
You
though.
always open with that question, right?
No. The trick is, it's high risk, high reward. Because if you miss, you only knock 7 down.
Yeah.
But I could have asked a question that guarantees a 50-50 result.
All right.
Okay.
So you're balancing that. But the actual game with the most replay value that was awesome, and I can't believe it's not still played way more than it is Clue. That game rocks.
I will tell you the reason why
Dad
Clue
loves
isn't
Clue.
played more is because Mysterium came out.
That's still really different, man. Dude, Mysterium.
I think fondly of Clue. You had the little notepad?
Yeah, it was
You
nice.
have the notepad.
It's
You're
incredible.
getting, but I'm telling you, when you're playing as an adult, Clue,
Yeah.
the amount of like deduction that can actually be gained. So here's the. I played the game.
Tell me the story.
Not even 2 months ago, and because there's a person, a room, and a weapon that go into a manila envelope in the middle, right? And you're trying to guess that. And when you make your final guess, you got to look in the card. And if you're right, you win. If you're wrong, you're out of the game, right? And everyone knows that you're wrong.
Yeah.
But we were playing, and I literally solved the equation based on what the other players were doing. I had no concrete information except for what they were guessing and what they were surmising and who was showing them clues. And mid-game, it's like, and I know they're close, right? I know John's got a couple things figured out, Tim's got a couple things figured out, Daniel's got a couple things figured out. And it's like, I'm gonna go, I think, I'm like 90% on all 3 things. So I'm just gonna go for it, and I got it right. It's like, and I knew nothing.
That feels good.
That feels good.
Anyways, it has a lot, it's surprisingly
About
deep.
how long did that game take you, just out of curiosity?
20 minutes.
Really?
Really?
Wow.
You solve it so fast.
See, I remember Clue stretching on.
The thing is, if you find something out, I should know you found something out.
Yeah.
And so, like, if you're paying attention to what they're doing and what you're doing, you gather the clues very quickly.
So pay attention.
So pay
Yeah,
attention.
pay
Interesting.
Interesting. Yeah, I would not have guessed that.
Also, Connect 4 is great.
Connect 4.
By the way.
That's a solid little game.
It's just fun. We play Farkle too at the in-laws.
Does it count? Does Dominoes count as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, it
I
does.
would definitely throw that in. Train is a big one that came from Steven's in-laws, and it is just fantastic. It's really easy to learn, and it's also I like these ideas. This idea of sort of the less intimidating games that sort of can give people a very easy bridge into the world of board games. Again, the kind of community that it can create, the fun that it can have, without having the sort of pieces that are very alien. And Dominoes, and Train particularly, is one of those very fun ones where, again, minimum decision points, but worthwhile decision points. Enough randomness where no one really gets upset. You can be competitive, but I don't know that you can really screw over anybody. You probably could.
You can do that in
Definitely
Dominoes. I've played that game.
But we used to play Chicken's Foot with Dominoes. So just a set of Dominoes
I get you.
really
Set
good
of
too.
Dominoes, set of cards. I'll get you everywhere you need to be.
So next question for me is, we've talked about what you take with you. We've talked about what games you want to bust out that your family might already have.
Yeah.
Like if you're home and you're visiting and they have Clue, Guess Who, Sorry.
Monopoly can just go in the dumpster.
I love Monopoly.
Yeah.
Game of Life.
Game of Life.
Yeah. Which is
I'm
strange
gonna
and
have to
common.
check.
Let me
and
tell you
see.
something about Monopoly. Let me just tell you
Oh
something.
man, we're going there.
Let me tell you something about
Can we
Monopoly.
just do a Monopoly cast?
I don't think it's necessarily a bad game. I think the history of it is fascinating. But I also don't know that it competes in a world with television. So I spent some time.
He's ready. I'm
interested in
this.
All right.
I spent some time in Africa, and there would be whole days that the kids out there would spend playing Monopoly, because you had whole days to spend playing Monopoly.
Right.
There's nothing distracting you at that point. And if you have a whole day, if you're snowed in and the electricity is out, and you want to spend 8 hours on actually finishing the game, I think it's a worthwhile endeavor. But I don't know. I haven't experienced a Monopoly game that has gone to the real end. Maybe since I was 4.
So I'm going to segue this into a different
It's obviously
question.
an objectively bad game. That's been proven 1,000 times.
are
over,
better
but that doesn't
games,
mean
obviously.
that it isn't good. You know?
You can't derive some sort of joy out of it?
Well, yeah.
You can definitely derive
objectively,
joy
it's
out of it.
awful, right? I play wall ball. I don't know that the rules of that are airtight either, but it's super fun.
I mean, I will say objectively is hard to define in general here, right?
Really?
I think objectively is pretty easy to define.
I don't know.
No,
that
it is hard. That's a common problem. Subjective, objective. Is anyone truly biased?
That's
true. And what can fun be objectively defined, I guess, is the question.
Monopoly's never really been my thing.
Yeah.
But there are plenty of people who
My dad loves it.
really dig
Really?
it.
Yeah,
So
all the time.
I don't know. I don't know if I want
I
to
really
die on
enjoy
that
the
hill.
game, though.
You know what
I
I mean?
wouldn't- yeah, I wouldn't
So
defend it,
here's my real question. So Monopoly, people have heard of that. Dominoes, Sorry,
Yeah.
all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So what is the game that you are most likely to give to someone who's not necessarily into tabletop games, but you want to give them a tabletop game as a gift that potentially introduces them to this amazing new world and community that is tabletop gaming?
That's a good question. First of all, to begin my answer, I want to say
one of these.
one thing.
Yeah,
To
straight
begin
out.
my answer, I think it's very important to know and to really go in understanding this, that if you're going to give someone a game for Christmas or as a present, you are basically saying, I will teach you this game. Don't just hand someone a box, say it's great, and be like, see you later. Here you go, Ant, out in another state. You'll enjoy this. Like, you're going to need to sit down, you're going to need to teach, you're going to need to teach them well, because you are, at that point, an ambassador for tabletop gaming in general. And I know that's a weighty thing to put on someone's shoulders, but that's the truth.
And you're competing against every other form of recreation they are already engaged in.
And they're all familiar with.
Whether it's round 2 of Thanksgiving food, or the Dallas Cowboy football game, or the Christmas special.
Going home and you have your routine. You, whenever people come over, you do these things. And if you want to get a board game into that space, you need to make it happen. Like, it's not an easy thing to change habits like that.
So my number one is Love Letter, obviously. But there's a reason for that. Let me break it down. It's because cards, playing cards is pretty simple. That's something that people have understood since really the beginning of time. So they can pick that up quite easily.
At least the beginning of cards.
And the cards look very intimidating, but the game moves so fast that by the time the first one's over, there's a lot of knowledge that's gained sort of every time. I've never had a problem. Of all the games that I've tried to teach people, I've never had a problem teaching Love Letter. So it's fun. It's easy. People can win. They make that guess with the guard and it's right, and that's a really good feeling of elation. So I would say Love Letter, number one. And then number two, Swords and Strongholds is another game that I've never had trouble teaching people, and that once about the third game gets through, then people are hooked. One quick caveat on Swords and Strongholds is that as much as I love Luke and I think that he's an absolutely brilliant designer, I do think that his instruction manual writing skills leave something to be desired.
That was the same thing with Burning Wheel, I think.
But the trick is if you're there to teach it.
Well, that's the thing. I actually watched, in preparation for this, he did a series of 3 videos with the Mouse Guard creator on how to play Swords and Strongholds. It covers everything. If you're going to give this game for Christmas, watch that, be prepared to teach. People will love it. The other thing about Swords and Strongholds, similar to Love Letter, is it's very chess-like. The pieces are they're very cute and nice. The aesthetic is not very intimidating, and so it really checks a lot of boxes for taking down that sort of alien nature of something that's so new and so different to a lot of people.
It's just so small too. It's like it's easy to wrap your mind around this tiny little board of mice. Way more than the game that I might suggest, and only because I don't know if this is actually the right answer, but it's something that I'm intrigued by, having played it recently. We played it on Friday. When we did our thing, our Thanksgiving thing. Celestia.
Oh man, nice, making an appearance.
Yeah. I'm not, and truth be told, I think of all the gaming personas, podcasts, etc. out there, we're not the best at board games.
This is true.
It's hard enough to keep up with a couple of LCGs. Like, heaven forbid the entire industry of board games. That's you have to commit. That has to be your life, like, in a lot of ways, to really be on top of board games. So I'm sure we're missing some potentially diamonds in the rough here for sure. But Celestia, I was pleasantly surprised with how that game played. The general vibe is that you have an airship, and it's moving from more and more, basically harder and harder, checkpoints to get through. And you take turns being the pilot of it every round. So like, if you're the pilot, then move into the next round, it moves up one space. Now you're the pilot, it moves up one space, you're the pilot. You have cards in your hand that basically allow you to overcome challenges. So they have like a couple of different icons.
Clouds, lightning, birds.
And then you have dice and random, clouds. So you got to get through weather. You got to get through like attack birds, or birds getting in your, propeller or whatever it is. So you roll dice every round, and it tells you what the challenge is. They can always be blank, so it's possible to always blank out the dice and move on to the next round. And so you have a hidden hand, and let's say it rolls bird and lightning. I have bird and lightning in my hand. I don't say anything, nobody knows it.
You're the captain.
And I'm the captain. And then everybody around the table decides if they want to keep going with me or if they want to jump off. If they jump off, they get a treasure card worth points. And so for every difficulty up you go, the better those cards are.
Okay.
So like, if I get off on the first, stop, I get a low.
It's like one or more points.
If I make it to like the 5th stop and I get off, I might get a 10-point card. If the captain makes it all the way, it gets 25 points.
Okay.
So
but the trick is the captain seat rotates.
It rotates every time.
So if you know that you are going to be the captain next round, and you stay in means that you're going to have to be the captain next round, but you don't have any cards in your hand, then
you might have like bad cards in your hand. You're like, I'm going to get off here. And then
you want to get off
like,
the ship because the captain can't get off the ship.
That's
right. So if it goes to you and you don't do those cards, you go down with the ship. You don't get any points.
Okay.
So the basically
that's the whole game. We taught it right there.
That's it. I mean, that's the game, and we pass it around, and then there are a couple of special cards where you can like re-roll dice or like
you have a jetpack.
You can evacuate off of the ship, and so there's enough tricks to keep it like interesting. But it's generally just going around the table. Everybody gets to be the source of the action. The basically spotlight on this person. Roll the dice. Could be a big moment of incredible excitement, could be a big moment of complete dread. Everybody jumps off your ship, but then you move on to the next one, and it's like, oh, this is crazy. I can't believe you made that challenge. And it's just really light. It's a small box. It's easy to give, and it's easy to teach. So it's a great. You can get a lot of people around that game. I think we had 4 or 5. Is that right? Is that max out at 5?
I think it's 5.
5 or 6?
I think it's 5. It's 6. It's 6.
I think
There's
we had
6 of those little things.
Yeah. So you can have 6 people playing it, and nobody has to be super invested. Nobody has to know like
it's a very fun little game.
Strategy. It's just, do you want to stay on the
and
boat
it looks
or
pretty
get off?
Cool.
Of it?
I like the like flying blimp boat thing.
Yeah, the pieces are very nice.
So it's really fun. I think that would be a good choice from the kind of non-expected maybe choices that you might have with Catan and all that.
And it's good because again, it allows people to sort of get involved without too much strategy or intimidation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think
it's a bonding game, really.
I like,
that's good.
I like those recommendations a lot. I mean, I think the classics of like Codenames, Coop, Suro,
I was going to say
Love Letter,
Do you mean Coup?
Splendor. What?
Coup?
I think,
Coup?
by the way,
Coup? Did I say Coop?
Through a military coup. Yeah.
Coup is, I think, a bad choice.
I do too. Yeah. Let's talk about that.
No, it depends on your
about
family.
that.
My family loves Coup, but it's like my brothers and my dad.
Yeah, but you guys are looking at it.
I think it depends on the audience. You got to know who you're getting. I don't give Resistance.
Okay.
Side note.
Okay.
Resistance
So
is
now,
like.
what is the difference in your head between those? Because I put them in the same box.
So the thing about Coup is that you get the cards, and it's kind of a bluffing game. In that way, like it's what are the cards in my hand? Who has what? Kind of a thing. Resistance is like I actively have to lie to your face.
Okay.
It's like if I'm a member of the bad guys in Resistance, I'm literally trying to trick you.
Yeah, manipulation.
I'm not just trying to trick you into what cards
I'm lying to my loved ones.
It's a little more aggressive.
Okay.
And there's nothing wrong with Resistance in that way.
Okay.
If you're like really, if you're on good terms with everyone, but like especially
and want to not be, basically.
Yeah. I mean, no, like it's kind of. I've never yelled in Coup. Right?
Okay.
I have been loud, and I'm not really a yeller. I've been loud in Resistance, right? Where it's like
I've never had a game of Resistance where I'm not pounding the table with my fist.
It's kind of
especially
immediate.
with my brother. So that's where the line is for me. And I actually think Resistance in the right crowd, like in a very strong friend group, can create.
Some people are into
fun
that.
times.
Yeah.
If you're not into that, like.
You should probably know it by now.
Yeah.
Trader mechanic kind
So
of.
what was your answer? What do you?
But my actual answer, one thing I really love to do is if the person is into any particular IP, so whether it's Star Wars or Lord of the Rings or Cthulhu or mystery or which we're going to get to that in a second. I'm going to ask you a question about that. But basically a theme, right? So like if you're if someone is really into Star Wars, depending on their personality, I might get them the 2-player starter for Destiny. I might get them a starter for X-Wing. I might get them Rebellion, which is a board game. If they're into Lord of the Rings, like there's tons of options. And I think the thing about the theme is that you can give them a gift. You know it's going to be at least something of interest to them. And then obviously if you're the gift of willing to teach / be willing to learn, play with them is also really strong.
It's that touch point. It's that touch point that creates the bond that helps them get over the hurdle.
I think theme for people that haven't been into something is a great bridge to get them over the hill. Or even Game of Thrones or historical stuff. You just go down the line.
And gifts are ultimately about the thought, right? It's the thought that counts in gifts. So like even if they don't play the game, you knew enough to know that they are interested in World War II, for instance, and that can be enough to be like, oh, well, thanks. Like you're paying attention to me as a person.
Yeah, for sure.
Worthwhile.
I would, and along those lines, I think that's really cool. I also think you can look at people's genre. So like potentially if people really like fighting games, Street Fighter, that you have a friend who's really into Street Fighter, I think Destiny is a great choice for that.
Sure.
I think that would be a really good way to get them. It's I think Lucas said so. It's basically trying to intimate the sort of fighting game mentality, Marvel versus Capcom kind of a thing, which could be really cool. And that could be a really great way to get them into it.
Yeah. And it's also like getting them their first pack of cigarettes in a lot of ways.
But instead of it being cigarettes, it's a
bonding community-driven,
enjoyable medium of entertainment that creates profound human connection and
hey,
lots
don't
of
discount
joy.
the smoke break, man. There's a lot of connection.
Well, I'm not
break.
the concern on the smoke break is the whole cancer thing, dude.
Yeah, you won't get that.
So
you won't get
presumably.
Now we've kind of talked a lot about board games, and because they are a natural, really great gateway into tabletop games. But when it comes to the expandable, more exhaustive, community-driven games, right? The collectible card games, the LCGs, the miniature games, down that line,
you're essentially inviting them into a lifestyle at that point. You know, Eric Lane called them lifestyle games, I think, with Simon. And I like that. I mean, there's maybe a better term for it, but there's a level of commitment above and beyond getting out a board game every couple of months, right? Like it's more than that. It becomes a serious part of your identity almost. You know, your lifestyle, your hobby. You spend a lot of time on this stuff.
So,
and you become obsessed with it. I mean, it's pretty common.
Of those though, which one, like, do you give those? Right? Do you give someone the Destiny 2-player starter, or the Arkham core set, or the L5R core set, or down on the line, any of these things?
Well, let me tell you this: if people are unwilling to believe that somebody who has not expressed interest in tabletop gaming, that they can't then enjoy something like Arkham, the living card game, then we've lost it from the start, right? Like that's impossible for me to believe. For how we understand kind of the future of the industry. So I think that the biggest thing getting in everyone's way is, and mine including, is that you think that this is some kind of esoteric, hard to understand, too complex for normal people kind of thing. In reality, it's not. And the vast majority of, you know, like I've talked to a number of players who have said, I got started because a friend taught me Netrunner over lunch, right? Like, it's not actually that hard. Like, people understand advanced things. We deal with complex situations all of our lives. You can figure out how to break a piece of ice, right? So maybe the key is just to do it, you know? Like, just believe that it's going to happen and say, like, but the gift, like you said, it comes back to you, is a gift of time commitment with that person.
And teaching,
it's like, because
I think that's the real gift that comes along with the game.
There's nothing that we all want as players of those games than more people to play them with. So you just have to kind of take one for your team, your own team, and say, I will teach you this. And not only will I teach you it, I will play it with you once a week until you don't want to do it anymore. Like, and then not only that, but I have a group of friends who also play this once a week, and we would love to have you join us. That's when and to me, that's the whole point of the games that we're currently kind of really into, the LCGs and CCG, at least out of Fantasy Flight, is that it allows that kind of bringing in of somebody to a pre-established community that is there consistently and commonly, and that can be there once a week, if not more often, and you can get somebody involved in that. So I would like to think that that's possible, and I honestly think that if you're going to do it out of nowhere, you're looking at Arkham. The card game. I think that's really like, cooperative games are the greatest way to get people past this barrier of what am I supposed to be doing? How am I supposed to play this game? Like, cooperative games give you a hand-holding with somebody else in a very awesome way that is quite different than trying to teach them a game while you're trying to beat them at it. That's hard.
That's a very good point.
It's not fun sometimes.
And I think that's when I come back to, like I was talking about with the games that I give as gifts, where it's like, if you know the person, where it's like, are they going to actually enjoy competitive anything? Are they really into Arkham, or are they really into Star Wars? Are they really into any kind of theme? Because, like, you know, I think to take a very specific example, you have like Destiny, which is a collectible game, maybe the most exhaustive format of a game to get into for someone new. And I think it's super easy to learn, super easy to teach, super fun, but I'm not obviously going to give that to someone that's not a fan of Star Wars.
Right.
Like, but if they're a big fan of Star Wars, you have a gateway into this big thing.
That's, I think, what I mean with Arkham. I think that can go to somebody who doesn't care about anything Arkham related.
It certainly turned us. I was not into the Arkham mythology.
All it is do you want to solve a mystery, right? It's like, everybody loves solving mysteries. Come on, like, that's
the human condition.
Well, it's the number one television show for like 20, 50 years running.
Was that Doctor Who you're talking about?
No, just starts with Peter Gunn and Mike Hammer, and then we're still solving mysteries.
NCIS, for goodness sakes. I mean,
but that's where I think you have some great opportunities with Arkham.
And it's cooperative.
Is like Stranger Things was huge, and I think there's actually did you see the Stranger Things thing someone made in the community, by the way?
I wonder if they would do a Stranger Things cycle. Wouldn't that be cool?
I would love to see in a lot of these games.
You have your new characters, new investigators.
Imagine if there was just a Stranger Things box set. There is actually someone made that online. There's like all the things you need to print. Your investigators are the kids. It's the whole Stranger Things scenario story thing going through.
That's really cool.
But you could imagine, like, I mean, the same thing in any game where it's like you could port in a theme, have a box set of, and get all kinds of people excited. But I do think Arkham could be a big deal, especially like you have the analogy. I think Netrunner could be really big with like the Mr. Robots connection going on, right? Star Wars is Star Wars.
You probably know the friend who would be in a Netrunner right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody listening probably has one of those people in their lives.
Yeah.
So when it comes to all things tabletop games and holidays, are there any non-game items that are worth considering?
Thousands.
Any big ones? The thing I like a lot is, speaking of music earlier in the episode, is the reality of like a Taylor Swift album on vinyl
we couldn't find it. We were in Target yesterday. We couldn't find the vinyl.
They don't have it.
No, she's only doing like digital or something for now at least.
Taylor.
My heart is broken. I'm out. No, but really, the idea of like a Spotify or a Pandora, a supplement, because people listen to music when they play the game. So if you know someone that is really into games, who you're looking to buy a gift, who kind of has it all.
That's a creative solution.
I think that's a really, because there's like the storage containers for your various games and whatnot, but I really dig the like, hey, your music while you're playing games is on me for the next year kind of a situation.
That's kind of cool.
That's interesting. I mean, just in terms of general gifts, I put out a PSA for everybody in the world who is similar to me, in that a lot of times the best gifts are I won't say non-material, but they are non-permanent, right? So like the other side of this is, what about the person who doesn't want another board game on their shelf?
Yeah.
Right? Like a lot of times people are very picky about what they want.
That's the hard part of buying from someone that really knows.
Yeah, and with accessories or with like storage options for games, it's like, I want exactly what I want. Like I don't want you to guess what I want.
Well, it's like I would be terrified to buy you a vinyl.
Right.
It's like,
and you just be aware, anything that sticks around forever is difficult because you put people in an awkward situation between like knowing that you essentially threw out or donated their gift and then finding out and then feeling like they were unappreciated, or just keeping it in your life forever and never really appreciating it or using it. So make sure that, I think, like, number one rule of gift giving for me is make sure that the person actually is going to appreciate and want what it is that you're giving, which can be very stressful for me when I'm giving gifts, to consider those kinds of things. But consumable things are great. Like, I love the idea of, for instance, something that you've made, a loaf of bread. Is actually a killer gift. Like a pie that you bake somebody. Robert's really good about giving those kinds of gifts over the holidays. Or a gift card to your favorite restaurant. Like those kinds of things are really nice as well. So those gifts are great.
Well, and there's also, the person with all of those board games on their shelf may just want someone to play it with. Get them a pick six or something like that, and say, this is to be drank whenever. I'd love to play some games. I mean,
or like host a gathering.
Host a gathering, exactly. This is
provide some food.
What we keep getting back to is really the best gift that you can give is your time, and the best way that you can show that really is through these games, whether it's giving them, whether it's giving your time to play them, whether it's teaching, whether it's just
things to help enjoy them.
Things to help enjoy them. Yeah, just sit down with somebody and play the things they love.
We honestly need to talk about our products, right?
Yeah, and also,
I guess as the marketing for people, you should be talking about them.
We've got all sorts of
public service announcements. This is before they're actually getting announced.
We've got all sorts of great
Spoiler,
gifts.
if you're here still. I think that's great. Go for it.
That's fine. We've
got
a
little teaser for the podcast full.
Yeah, we've got a lot of stuff coming, but we do have some holiday offerings coming up. So that's going to be. I mean, these are great gifts because they're limited edition tokens. They're only around during the holidays. We do not intend to reprint them or do we're going out of our way this year to not kind of step on the toes of what we've done in previous years. So those are absolutely great options, usually a pretty good price point.
Especially for people that are already into these games, who already have it all. It is something nice that you can either get for yourself or get to give it to someone.
Yeah, we've got more Mythos boards coming in soon. I think we're looking at early December-ish on that. So
sign up for the wait list.
I think we will have them in time to get them ordered and to everybody before Christmas. So, I mean, if anybody is an Arkham player in your life, even if they haven't expressed that they want that, and this is obviously, I'm not just trying to get
we're going to take off the creator hat marketing.
Yeah, right. It's like, buy it anyway because I love it. But even if they haven't said that they want it or don't even know about it, there's not a single Arkham player that wouldn't at least enjoy having one of those Mythos boards. Like, there are people who might think that they're too expensive, they're not worth it, they're not going to improve the game enough, those kinds of things. But if you were giving a gift, those things don't matter. Because like a 1% improvement in their game experience is great because it's free for them, right? So Mythos boards are excellent gifts for Arkham players. And like I said, so if you want to go that route, join the waitlist. Product's out of stock on the store right now. Join the waitlist. Whenever they come in, you'll get an email and jump on it because I think they're gonna move like they did the first time as well. So
quickly.
But what a good gift. I would love to have one.
Well, and similar, if there's anyone out there who, I'll do an old shout out to the old bases and activations for Imperial Assault. Same idea, right?
Those kinds of light improvements.
That's like a 1% to 10% improvement that can make things a lot better.
We measured it.
Yeah.
I think, and I love those kinds of products. I think we're moving more in that direction of looking at basically ways that you can just make the experience better.
Yeah.
Even in small ways, but it's like, well, this is a lifestyle game thing, you know.
A 1% better over 10 playthroughs.
That's incredible, right? That's incredible. So what else? Is that it?
I think that's it. I mean, I
custom
like
tokens are always a good choice. If they don't have those, can always be, loved. What else? Honestly, those broken token inserts are really tight.
Like box inserts.
A lot of people love those. That's really handy for things. Sometimes just card sleeves and that kind of stuff is really nice for people. But again, you gotta strike that balance between knowing what the person actually wants, because anybody, I don't know, maybe not anybody, but a lot of people in our industry, ourselves included, I'm sure, me in particular, are very particular.
What?
Are very particular about what they want with all this kind of like tertiary stuff. Yeah. So keep that in mind.
But it's really hard to go wrong with like something meaningful tied to your time.
Yeah.
Like I think that's the basics. If someone's really into a particular something, you can go that direction. And if not, the worst is like time and meaning are,
that's right.
are kind of
that's
classic.
Right. Time is a great gift. I think we need to do that more as that becomes the primary resource that is scarce in human life.
It is the one thing that is not getting more efficient.
That's right.
Unless we way extend our lifespans, then it's just a whole different conversation. All right, there you have it. We're going to move on to some questions from the audience. You have a final thought here?
I'm just saying a subscription would be an amazing gift.
Oh my gosh.
Covenant subscription. Like
to a game
you can put your shipping address to whatever. Like you'd be on the hook indefinitely, or at least you could just say, I'll have this active for 6 months and then cancel it.
This will be active till my card expires, and then we're out of here.
But man, that would be incredible.
Yeah, that's if you really want to go home. Go heavy.
Or if you're getting someone into a game,
for your kids, if
yeah, but that's risky because like if you get a Arkham and then they don't like it, it's like, well, then you can just unsign up for the subscription, I guess. But that's a whole different thing. All right, you can use the hashtag AskCovenant, and we'll answer your questions on the show. First question here is from Sean Baker. Way back in episode 1 of the Covenant Cast, you tackled the topic, is Star Wars Destiny dead?
Oh, no.
Well, now I'm wondering, is Star Wars Imperial Assault dead?
I just mentioned it too, darn.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Oops.
Yeah, that's a good question. Hey, they got that dad mode announcement, didn't they?
Well, they finally got the app announcement. They announced that they were doing it last Gen Con. And by last Gen Con, I don't mean August, I mean a year ago, August. And I think that maybe they jumped the shark on announcing it a little bit.
Yeah.
But it finally is apparently coming out. I don't think it's actually out yet. It said coming soon because they're waiting on the App Store approval stuff. But effectively, this is an app integrated with a game that lets previously it was someone had to play the Imperial player, everyone else were the Rebel players.
Oh.
And now you can all play the Rebel players.
Okay.
And that's controlled by that. And that also means that all of the most tedious things of playing Imperial Assault are gone. So, it's like the Imperial player had to pick their class. They had to shuffle, organize all these cards and the gear and the prize, all that stuff. And all that is now handled by the app, tracking experience and leveling up and what cards you've bought and all that is app-based.
That's nice.
So it's supposed to be pretty revolutionary. And
yeah, everybody loves it for mansions too. Like the app has been, it's well loved. Like I definitely have that feeling whenever I hear about this app doing all the stuff in a game, and I'm like, that feels wrong. But I don't know that it is, honestly. If it's taking care of the monotony of the tedium, then maybe it's just fine.
Well, it was taking care of the thing. It also makes it where it's not all of us against one player, which, as we're talking about,
one player
it makes it fully cooperative,
it removes
right?
the Overlord.
It removes the Imperial player.
Oh my gosh.
But it also, and this is where I think the advantages of technology can potentially be a big deal for a game like Imperial Assault, is that you can release additional campaign and story content without releasing new products.
That's crazy.
It's like you have map tiles that can change, you have a story, and so you don't have to print anything.
That's
and so
a big deal.
I think the value there. But in short, is Imperial Assault dead? I don't think so.
Can I rephrase the question? I think the campaign will go on forever. I mean, it's a great board game.
That's
with
fantastic.
style,
Arkham
skirmish.
cooperative. You know,
Question.
What I was getting ready to say is that I think it's been the case since the game came out, which is that most people who are buying this product and playing this game are not the ones playing skirmish. And a lot of times, I think we've talked about this in the past, people associate tournament attendance with success of a game.
Yeah.
And I just flatly think that's wrong, especially in a game that was primarily designed as this campaign-driven storytelling game, even in light of both flagging basically skirmish participation and Legion coming out, which is a new Star Wars miniature war game. This is a totally different thing to me.
It really is.
Yeah.
They both have models, and that's fine, I guess. But like, one is a story-driven game. The other one is a miniature war game, big, full-scale, complicated,
competitive
thing. And so I think they both can have their space. We'll see what happens to Imperial Assault, but I assume the app's going to make things better. I know that the latest campaign, Heart of the Empire, is easily the best, most like welcomed, highest reviewed campaign that's been out. So we'll see if a game like that can have legs.
Well, to the question, this is the moment, and whenever that app comes out, I think what a great Christmas gift that would be.
Yeah.
If you can give an experience like that, and that's expensive, right? It's like $100 for the core set. Is that right?
But you get like 30-something models.
But if you
that first quest
it's,
alone will
it's app ready, right? I mean, we can jump right into it. So like, if you could give that, bust it out, get the app going, and then have an experience together rather than having somebody on the outside, that's amazing.
Well, and you literally, again, there's things that apps can do that are cool, right? Which is even just teaching you the game, telling you how to set up, telling you what you need to do, and walking you through that. So it makes it even easier to learn.
I love that, actually.
Yeah.
That would be a really cool Christmas Day experience.
Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah.
Actually, and even so, like, if you're an Imperial Assault player, you should bring that to any holiday stuff.
Yeah. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very cool. All right, well, that's it. We're going to get out of here. You said you had a question to ask. I have one to ask the audience to get answers on, but you said you had a really good one.
I had a good question for the audience?
I thought so.
I'm always asking
one of the
questions.
good answers?
I'm always asking good questions.
All right, well.
Oh, there was a good question, but you didn't.
No, I didn't. You said you had it.
Okay.
But I have one just in case you didn't.
It was a question for us that I had.
Oh.
It wasn't a question for the audience.
I got you.
I'd love to ask the audience a
number of things.
Remarkable amount of things.
You want to take this one?
No, let's not do it.
Are you sure?
I'll wait until I want to get like if I get one question, at least I want it to be the question that I want to ask them.
All right. Well, the question I have for our audience
What is this?
it's not on the sheet. It's
it's a wild card.
That's from last week. No, it's gift relating. So, what advice would you have for the rest of the listeners when it comes to
that would be great.
You guys have been doing this longer than we have.
gift giving around
lot of
tabletop
you.
games for the holidays? So everything from if you have strong recommendations for games to take with you, old games to bust out, what games to give new people, and even what gifts to get people that are really entrenched in the games.
And can I add success stories as well? I would love to hear some success
Yeah.
stories.
Most successful
about
gift giving
games.
story?
Giving a game.
So yeah,
how's
leave that in the
work for
comments
you?
below, and of course the answers that we like we'll talk about next time.
And I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving.
And even if that's not with family and friends, even if it's just a day off of work, even if you're at work, like, I hope that Thanksgiving was great.
And
truly.
even if you're in a country that doesn't celebrate Thanksgiving, I hope you had a great Thursday.
Yeah, gratitude. I mean, yeah, great.
It's true.
May it be filled with gratitude, even if for existence alone. Like, that is enough.
Well, and I'll just go on record saying that if you're at this point in the podcast still listening or watching, very grateful.
Yeah,
we're grateful
thank you.
for all of
for
you,
your
truly.
answers. The interactions we get on this podcast are tremendous, and
Being able
we're
to
just
just talk.
I'm always humbled by the number of people that are taking the time to listen to what we have to say. So thank you for that.
2017 almost out.
All right. Until next time, keep playing.